swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States.
What advice do I have for people getting into the industry? I went into the business store and was like, initially as a creator, went to the business store and I learned stuff, but if there was going to be a veteran going into it, and if you were going to try to make way in the industry, it would, pick up journalism, find a way to write journalism articles, interview people. I know that's some self-starter stuff that you don't always get paid to do. And I didn't get paid for my first few interviews anyways. It was once they got published, people saw, oh, there's that. There's, if you have your GI Bill, you have to be careful where you go because, it can be expensive, but you'd want to have a direction once you'd go someplace, whether you got an MFA in screenwriting or you got an MFA in producing. But you also want to recognize what the school's connected to, who they're connected to. And even though they are connected to those people, it doesn't mean you're going to go get a job with them right away. That's just, if you look at most people in the industry, I'd say majority of them, they all started out kind of doing their own stuff, self-generating, creating their own ideas, going out and shooting short films or features if they could afford it or could find a way to afford it. It's really thinking outside the box. It's using your creativity to find a way to succeed, because going through the front door, unless you're a James Cameron, Jennifer Lopez, Nicole Kidman, the gate will likely lower for you. For most others of us, no. The moat's there full of sharks and the gate staying up, and you've got to find a way through the back door, the side window, the chimney, or the sewer, which preferably not the sewer, preferably not the underground. But then that's kind of how you have to get in. It's like you're breaking into Shawshank Redemption. There's a thing called the Writers Guild Foundation Veteran Writing Workshop. I had applied for that and got into it and did it from 2022 to 2023. Learned a lot, wrote a pilot. I highly recommend veterans check that out because you can do it in the evenings. I wanted to say it's twice a month when it first starts out, and then it's once a month in the evenings. But you have to write in between. You have to break stuff down and restart it and break it again. You have to really learn the writing process. I mean, if you look at Hemingway and some of the other great writers, and even one of the screenwriters who came in and talked to us, Billy Ray, I write 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And yeah, he makes, a couple $1 million a year or more, off of it. He's not a joke. He's one of the best. But you have to really work at it. You can't just do it once in a while. And, I'm going to start writing again this year myself with some mentorship and a one-on-one with an experienced development exec and writer to go through and write Antioch into being a feature and also a short. So it'll go from stage to film. So I'd say write as much as you can, find time to write, block out time. And there's a great little book called the 15-second, 15-second program, 15-second manager. You can find 15 seconds a day to write. You can find 15 seconds a day to act. And so it is left brain, right brain activities. Nonetheless, on the weekends, you can decompress and you can do some right brain, more creative stuff. I would suggest going to museums. I would suggest building your mind with things that aren't always associated with the military. And I'm not saying you do Men Who Stare at Goats type of stuff where it's super far out there, if you know the film and the book, and you're trying to do telepathy. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but you might get in trouble. But I think that it's important to find other creatives to shoot short films with, even if they're terrible. You should try to find in your free time to do that. And I know there's video games and there's movies and there's going out to the beach and party with your friends and stuff. You can do all those things, but you should try to limit what you're going to spend your creative free time on. It's healthy to take vacations. You take one every 3 or 4 months. I don't do that enough. It's just a grind to what I'm doing. But it is very important to do that and to find that free time when you can. And even if you're on deployment, okay, you just got off shift, you can go to sleep. You can get up and write for 15 minutes. You can write a scene, at least a first draft of a scene for a TV show or a pilot. Maybe at least a page or two, I would think. And then you can go back and redo it again. I mean, you're going to have to think about it beforehand. But it's, you can take little increments of time throughout your day and do that. And I do that. That's how I get things done. most mornings. I'm up early, sending emails and doing stuff before my day gets really started. The entertainment industry is a business. I think the biggest misperception from people is they think, oh, it's happy time, it's free time. I don't know if they don't look at the stocks of Disney or Warner Brothers or HBO. I don't know if they don't look at that and don't realize, oh, they're making stuff and they're selling and making money through advertising and people wanting to watch it and paying subscription fees and going to theme parks. I don't understand. Even in Walt Disney's day, it was still kind of obvious you were charged admission to go into Disneyland. You were still kind of charged admission to watch one of the animated features of Disney. And any of them, Warner, Paramount. And so I think the biggest misperception is it's not a business. It's playtime. Or, and yeah, there's favorites in the industry. Politics is there isn't any job anywhere and any time. Even the military has politics. There's legacy people. There's people who've been in the industry, just like there are in the military. There's been families who have, general upon colonel upon sergeant major. It's ongoing. And there's that in this business as well. And there is, a lot of times people try to, and this isn't as much in the military. I don't know about some of the other corporate sectors, but I would doubt in Wall Street. They try to get you to work for free. And if I'm working for free in the industry, I'm working for me. And sometimes I've done projects on spec because I believe in them, and we'll see where that goes. But more often than not, it's like you're either paying me or you're not. And as a veteran, it's easy to come in and have people kind of like buffalo you. Oh, yeah. Well, you do this and you can make $1 million. And I hate any fault for those. I'm like, okay, it seems like it's a, snake oil salesman. And so you run into that. And again, I don't know if that from even an anthropological or historical point is kind of California, from back in the gold rush. Oh, you'll make $1 million. Go out there and pay for gold. You're out there for like years and don't find any. And then you're like destitute. That's like 1850s or something. But, the entertainment industry, you want to work to get paid. And you have to recognize people outside the industry don't understand a lot of what you're dealing with. It's still a business. It's still people, but it has its nuances that are very, very specific for the industry. And you have to pay attention to what people aren't saying. In the military, it's much more straightforward. Great job. That's terrible. Entertainment, you might get, this was good and that was good, but they're not touching on like the elephant in the room, something that might have screwed up for. And you're like, okay, they're not talking about that. That must have been a problem. What do you think about that? If you ask the question, usually sometimes you get like you can get a abrasive answer or you can get no answer. It's just a much softer, much more under the water type of, you have to see the iceberg. You're like, okay, so they mentioned that. There must be a lot more that must have been. And so that's something. There's been some famous people in the industry that you always listen to what they're not saying. Okay, they're not talking about that. All right. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. I'll plan for that ahead, or I'll bring that up maybe to them in a meeting down the road and let them know some good things have happened, or I'm taking it for action. It's a much more, there's an ebb and flow to it. For the military, you can be hammering away and I want to be a sergeant. I want to be a captain, and you're just working your butt off as a corporal or a lieutenant. And it's great. Now in Hollywood, if you do that let's say you try that as an actor, or let's say you try that as some of the other creatives, if you're that hardcore and pushing, that can turn people off. They can be like, oh, this person's desperate, even though it could technically be your work ethic. Maybe you're doing fine financially. You're just trying to crest the next wave. And so in entertainment, it's you have to have a social life more than, say, in the military. Military, you can kind of be like, I'm just working 12 hours a day or 14 hours a day. You can do that in entertainment, but you also need to have a social life and be able to talk about, I've went out and visited these places, or me and my friends are going bowling this weekend. And you have to kind of talk about that. It's a nuance that you still do in the military, but it really is important in entertainment. And it's much more of a social environment. Yeah, you have drinks with the colonel, drinks with your sergeants, or, if you're, a staff sergeant, you have drinks with some of the higher staff NCOs. But there's just more of that. And that's some of the stuff that I didn't realize.
They become iconic ideas because they matter. They've persisted this long for a reason. And so there's probably something there. What was it like talking to John Belisario with a dude? I don't know if NCIS is the longest running show, but it's got to be, for at least live action, it's got to be close. Like, I know you have The Simpsons and like Family Guy and South Park on the animated side, but like on live action, I don't know if there's a longer running show.
I don't think so. I think it's beaten Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke was on from 55 to 75, and if I remember, quick Google here, I think NCIS was from 2000 to, let's see, NCIS show. So it started in 2003. So it looks like, so 21 years is what it's on now,
Yeah.
2004, 22 years. I'll do our Wikipedia friendly search. Well, it looks like number of seasons is 20. Officially, it should be on 21 now. I do believe that will be Gunsmoke because I can't think of anything else. So yeah, and it has so many spinoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And it has so much longevity. People still enjoy watching it. And it's just procedural. Bad guys getting caught by good guys.
Yep.
And you know, Don did that with Magnum. He did that with Airwolf. He did that with, even with Quantum Leap, Joel Way. He did that with Jag. I mean, the guy's a genius when it comes to that. And he started out life as an advertising exec. He didn't come into Hollywood until after he was 40.
That's crazy.
Yeah. He was, and it was something from the Nathaniel Hill book. It talks about, you know, the best inventors, they, and a lot of the entrepreneurs, at least featured in that book, they really hit their stride in their 40, from 40 to 50 or 40 to 60, which I'm like,
oh yeah,
everyone's, let's try that, you know?
Yeah. I mean, people think, I feel like social media has like aggrandized like the 20-year-old entrepreneur who like wrote Facebook and then becomes a billionaire. But it's, I mean, even in the non-Hollywood world, almost like the average age of your successul like startup founder is in their 40s because you just have more life experience. You know, like you've been in an industry or you've just been around the block enough to actually see problems, and then you actually can lead people to your vision. Like you have what you need right around that age to actually succeed, versus in your 20s, you just get ludicrously lucky. You draw your lottery ticket, but social media, I believe, makes it look like, oh, everyone should be trying to, like, you need to be getting your first 100 million by your 30s. And and I think that's a tough thing for people to see, especially veterans getting out now who are like, oh, this is the goal. These are the goalposts. And we're like those get to the goalpost kind of people. And I think a lot of people come out of the military misinformed on what success really should look like. So.
Oh, absolutely. It's The Strangest Secret Ever by, check this. This actually came through an acting class. Strangest Secret Ever. Earl Nightingale. And it's something to check out.
Okay.
Was it Bob Proctor is another one. And they kind of fall in line with Nathaniel Hill stuff, but Nightingale's comments, it's like a 30-minute video on YouTube, and it's got a bunch of views. And it's pretty spot on with what he's got to say. I agree with him. In Nightingale's video, he talks about, he's written stuff too, he's long since passed. A man is successful, or a person is successful in life if they are working towards a goal, they're putting their effort in, and they're finding results. Well, I know this, I'm putting in all kind of effort. I should be making $100 million right now. You know, I have to use it in my acting and writing. I'm getting paid to write articles, I'm paid to interview people, I'm getting paid to learn, really. Okay, is that successful? Yeah. Is it something I am passionate about? Yeah. I've gotten paid to act. You know, in LA, of all places, I've gotten paid, you know, sometimes up to $100 an hour, which I'm like, I don't even make that. Yeah. And there's people who make far more than that. It's just in acting on TV, and features, and even, you know, different mini series. There's folks who they could make $5,000 a day. So think about that. But those folks have been doing it for a long time too. When you look, it's like they've been working at the acting craft for 8 or 10 years, or 40 or 50 years. Like Denzel. You think about this. To my knowledge, Denzel Washington started acting in like the early 70s, if not earlier. He was high school, college stuff. He went to He got an MFA. He didn't hit television, or at least Broadway, to my knowledge, until the early 80s. 10 years. Now think about that to Training Day. 20 years from when he finally got onto TV. 30 years from when he started. I mean, he just comes right off screen. Hey, he's real. 100%, like, you can see that guy walking down the street, and that's what you're like, whoa. Think about that. When people are, overnight success. That happened once in a great while, Jennifer Lawrence or some of those folks. But it's like Jack Nicholson worked and did indie films and television for 8 years, 10 years, until he kind of hit it off with Easy Rider. And then it was it The Last Detail, which you should check out, a movie about Nicholson plays a chief petty officer escorting a sailor, to jail. And it's a really good film and a good book. And that was before Chinatown, which Nicholson really took off then in 73 or 74. So he'd been doing it for well over a decade. He'd been taking classes, and he'd worked as a fire marshal. He did the Air National Guard here. It's like some of the people that are like legendary, and Denzel definitely comes to mind. And you think Nicole Kidman, she's been acting for 40 or 50 years. Jennifer Lopez has been around for 40 plus. I mean, she's been around a long time doing dancing and, singing and those things. Those people didn't get good overnight. They trained a lot. And to think, if you're going to get out of the service and making $100 million as an entrepreneur, that's not realistic. That's self-defeating. And that's not really gauging any of your success. And that's something that the Earl Nightingale shared about. And I listened to that, and it touched it, continued me on my path of being like, this is true. You have an imagination, you have a will, use it, but if you expect overnight success, you will be usually 99% of the time severely disappointed.